crew. The captain willing to sacrifice himself before he'd let the entire ship and his sailors be taken down. That, my friends, is bravery and leadership. Should CEOs be paying attention? Let's ask global leadership expert Todd Thomas. It's pretty gutsy, Todd. What do you think?
No kidding, Neil. First of all, thanks for asking the question, because it's an interesting one. You know, in my time with executives, one of the issues is that it takes examples like this sometimes to understand what leadership integrity is all about.
You know, but we live in an age, a corporate age, a personal age, where I was mentioning earlier with someone looking at this whole bailout mess for financial bailout, and everyone's pointing fingers, like I say, you know, it's his fault or their fault. What happens to the one who says, no, the buck does stop with me? Because they're always afraid, the ones who say that, yeah, well, so will the job.
Right, but what's happening anyway? I mean, if you look at Richard Phillips, I think there's a very important lesson here, and that is he did not decide what his values were and what his priorities were at the moment that he faced these kidnappers. I mean, he was clearly a man with what I would call a high leadership integrity quotient. I mean, he's a man who lives by a set of values: keep my crew safe, keep my ship safe, and then worry about my cargo. I think that's something leaders can learn from, is, you know, you need to have already decided what are your values before you face something like the crisis that we're facing now.
Still, the lease on life for executives of all sorts these days is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Would that change whether they take responsibility for their actions or no?
Well, you know, it's interesting, because right now the CEOs that we have seem, or some of the CEOs, not all of them, but some, seem to think it's a better play to avoid responsibility than to take it. But I think that's why we end up with such a big mess. That's why we end up not knowing where to go. We need people to step up and say, hey, I'm a leader.
Careful there, Todd, because I built a career doing just that. But you know what I always wonder, like, you know, for the executive who does take the fall for the mistake of an underling, do the underlings appreciate it? Do they know it? Does he go back to the underling and say, look, Nimrod, you screwed up on that sales report. I covered your butt, but man, oh man, you owe me. Or is he just like the good servant who just doesn't let on that he just saved that guy from, you know, the fires of firing hell?
Well, it depends. I mean, if he gave the employee, if he gave the underling, as you said, the right tools to do the job, and he chose the right person to do the job, then yeah, he has to take some responsibility. If, on the other hand, you know, he wasn't careful about it, there was something done that was really out of line, then he has to deal with that. He has to provide the consequence to that employee.
Yeah, but I'm sorry it wasn't clear, Todd. Are those people more loyal to that boss because they sense that that boss stuck up for them?
Oh, absolutely. I believe so, because, and I'm not even so sure whether that employee is or not. All of the others are, because they know that when the leader says, I'm behind you, that he or she truly is behind them.
Well, I guess you're right. I guess you're right. Todd, always good seeing you. That's a great perspective on this. Appreciate it.
Neil, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, do you think keeping interest rates real low is real good for housing? What if I told you not really?